Hey guys, let's talk a little bit about this. This is sort of going to be a fun video. I started pulling my bass boat. 1985 was my first year on the circuit, and my very first tournament was at the St. Lawrence River in New York. And excuse me, I hadn't been outside Missouri. I was only 23 years old, I think, and so I hadn't been within an hour or two from the house pulling the boat. So pulling my boat to New York, upstate New York, was a big adventure for me. And over the years, I've had a chance to go everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere in the country. In fact, I traveled so much over the past, 3 or 4 decades pulling a boat. I can pretty much drive to about any lake in the country without even a map or GPS. I've been there so many times. Like, I've been to Lake Okeechobee in Florida a ton of times. I've been to the Potomac River in Maryland a ton of times. Excuse me. I've been to Lake Champlain a ton of times, the Great Lakes, all in the Gulf Coast states. So when you go year after year after year, you get really familiar with it. So let's talk a little bit about the places that you want to avoid at all costs. First of all, any city, any major city is going to absolutely suck pulling a boat. And there's some of them that are worse than others. So I'll talk about some of the worst ones here. Washington, D.C., guys, if you can all avoid it, never pull a bass boat through Washington, D.C. It's absolutely a crazy zoo there. It's ridiculous. It's insane. All of the cities going across the mid parts of the country, like Nashville and Louisville, all that type of stuff is really bad. Anywhere east of the Mississippi River is going to be worse than any place else. But guys, the number one place that you never want to go through in a bass boat is Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia is a freaking nut house. It goes on forever. It's like, guys, it will literally take you hours just to get across Atlanta, Georgia on the interstate pulling a bass boat there. There is 6 and 7 lanes of traffic. All the nut jobs are driving 100 miles an hour on there. It's the most stupid thing. If I was a cop in Atlanta, Georgia, I would be arresting and confiscating hundreds of people every day by the way they drive there. Atlanta, Georgia has the worst, the most nut job group of drivers I have ever seen in my life. And it has been for a long time. Prime example, guys, I was coming back from a tournament. The last tournament I ever fished, where I was coming back through Atlanta, Georgia a few years ago. And I was, again, going through 6 lanes of traffic, and I'm driving the speed limit, which everybody should. Speed limit is the speed limit, guys. Just like my dad said, he goes, Randy, the speed limit is the limit. It doesn't mean you're supposed to go over that. That's the limit of your speed, is whatever it is. And I always remember that. Very wise words by matter of fact. But anyway, I was